Hi, this is Stacey Stone coming to you from Stone Bodyworks Fitness, and today I put together a hip mobility sequence that also brings in a couple of low back ELDOA, specifically for L4, L5 and L2, L3. If there's time, we'll add a little bit of general ELDOA in there as well. I recommend that you already have a base with these ELDOA postures you learn in isolation prior to putting them together in this sequence. And as always, make sure do not work through pain and consult with a professional if you are having pain with these ELDOA, and take the time to take a deeper look with your body. So let's begin. I'm going to begin on all fours, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. We'll have the toes curled under as we begin this sequence with a anterior tilt in the pelvis, so not posterior, anterior. You're going to shift forward and back. Push your butt back and your heels back. Okay, do that 2 more times. And then you're going to change the placement of the ankles, place the tops of the feet down, rounding your spine into flexion, plus down, pressing down into hands, shins, and feet. Exhale, round your spine and go all the way back towards child's pose. Once you're there, do an anterior tilt and pull yourself forward. 2 more times like that, rounding the spine and go back. Anterior tilt straight into the spine and pulls you forward. Last time, calling this the cat wave. Coming back onto all fours, hands over under the shoulders, knees under the hips, moving into cat and cow, or that flexion and extension of the spine. Do that 2 more times. Exhaling, rounding the spine to the sky. Inhale, extending the spine, dropping the belly down, chest up. Last time. And then we'll all come back into a straight spine. And from here, we're going to bring the right knee forward. Okay, so this is what it looks like from the side. My right knee is coming forward. I'm sitting on my right heel, right leg straight back, left leg back. Okay, so now I'll turn to the front so you have a different view. I'll be mirroring you. I like to add a little elevation to my hands with this one to get more out of it. Moving through cat-cow spine again. So exhale, round your spine, and with strong arms, pressing strongly into the bricks. And then we lift the collarbones, extend the spine, and let your belly drop forward and towards that front knee. 2 more times. Exhale, rounding your spine. Inhaling, lifting your collarbone. Now lift the collarbones and stretch back into the toes of your left leg. 1 more time. Exhale, rounding your spine. And then inhale, lift the collarbone, stretch out through the left toes. Try to feel that sense of pressing yourself away from the floor. So we want to avoid this here. Strong, straight arms. From here, we're going to pull the rear leg forward. So your left leg is going to come forward and tuck behind your right leg. Your legs are crossed. So from the front, it looks like this. At this point, walk your hands forward a bit, and now just push your hips forward and back. There you go. Try to keep your arms straight and strong, and you're pushing yourself back. 1 more time like that. And then we'll come forward. Some of you might want to take a downward dog with your legs crossed at this point, but for time's sake, I'm not putting that in there. Uncross the knees, take 1 cat flexion. So that cat stretch, flexion of the spine, turn it into a cat wave going all the way back. Try to keep your arms straight as you do your anterior tilt, and then pull yourself forward. We're back on all fours. Second side. So for this side, your left leg is going to come forward. Okay, so left leg forward, you're going to sit on your left heel, extend your right leg back behind you. Okay, looks like this. And then from here, we begin doing our cat-cow spine. So exhale, rounding the spine into flexion with strong arms and pressing down into the bricks so my spine can move to the sky. As I inhale, I lift my collarbones, shoulders stay down and away from the ears. After you've completed 3 like that, you then bring your rear leg forward and tuck it behind that front leg. Okay, at this point, it usually benefits you to bring your arms a little more forward or legs back, and then we press forward and back for 3, 2, strong arms, straight arms if you can, 1. Again, if you want to take a downward dog here, you can. Otherwise, we uncross the legs, okay, bringing your bricks off to the sides of your mat, hands on the floor, and under your shoulders. Okay, moving from our flexion to our cat wave one time, slowly back. Stretching strongly into your arms, do an anterior tilt, pull yourself forward. Now with toes curled under, anterior tilt. So you're gonna park your butt straight back. Try to avoid the tendency of tucking here. That's where we get a little bit more stretch out of the glutes, the butt. Pushing back, good. And then from an inhale here, we're gonna roll ourselves up into a tall kneeling position. Hands are on your hips, press your butt back, and then bring your pelvis back to neutral. So you're displacing your hips backwards, and then you're coming forward. It's a hip hinge. Yes, notice I'm not sitting my butt onto my heels. Now on the next one, you're gonna push your butt back and then do a posterior tilt. So you're tucking your tail and roll your spine up, grow tall. 2 more times like that, hinge, posterior tilt, really articulating that rolling of the pelvis. Last time, hinge, posterior tilt, rolling it back up. From here, bringing our butt back down to the ground, okay, coming into seated, feet flat on the floor, okay, planting down into the sit bones, growing tall into the spine, and just with the tiniest of movements through the pelvis, we're going to do a posterior tilt to tilt the pelvis back. Feel your sacrum, that flat bone, right at the bottom of your spine here, it tilts backwards. Okay, try not to let your upper spine move too much. So let's just slow things down a little bit at this point, get a little more connected with that lowest part of the spine and your pelvis. Good. So feel that as you activate your lower belly muscles, you have this ability to move your low lumbar spine. So if we correlate it to the front of the body, that's the part of the spine that's from your navel, about L3 vertebrae down, L4, L5, S1. Good, next time you're in your posterior tilt, hold it. So you're pressing your sacrum back. Balance that with reaching the crown of the head to the sky and breathe for 3, 2, push the crown up, 2, and 1. Bring your hands back behind you, feet and knees together. Let your legs go side to side. Keep lifting through your chest, lengthen through the back of the neck. Good. And let your legs come all the way over to the right. Bring yourself back onto all fours. Keeping you moving for this sequence. Find a flexion. Take a nice slow cat wave. Inhale, roll your spine up. Want to get this hip sequence in here. Right leg comes forward. Get nice and stable. Begin with an anterior and posterior tilt on your left hip. Make sure you're stable. Hold your posterior tilt. Plant your front foot down. Nice vertical alignment from that thigh all the way up through the side of the body. And then we're going to extend that left arm up and alongside our ear. Pulling the face back. Also pull the belly back. So the more I start pulling my belly back, it pulls my spine back. And now that I pulled it back just enough, I feel an intensification of the stretch in the front of my left hip and thigh. From that place, I'm going to keep pulling my belly back. So if I do this, I lose it. You've got to be active into this stretch. If you're feeling stable here, the next step, you can take your right arm out and push out. Grow tall, take a couple more breaths, rooting left knee down into the floor. So here's what it looks like from the front. Now both arms up. See if you can stay with me here. Let your right arm release down. Lengthen up, side bend to your right. We're going to repeat it. Inhale, come up. Side bend to your left. How far can you go with control? Stretching out through your left arm, rise up. You know it's coming. Same thing on each side. Right arm floats down. Side bend over to your right. Inhale, bring that right arm up nice and strong. Let your left arm float down. This time, see if you can go all the way to the floor. Pause in here. Roll your right rib cage forward, bringing both hands to the floor. At this point, we're going to walk the hands a little further away. Push the hips back to what would be your right, and then shift left. Right and left. One more time. Press the hips to the right. Okay, some of you might want to just stay here. Otherwise, if you want to take it a step further, open that right arm up, stretch out through your right fingers. Maybe even letting that right leg roll out. Breathe. One more breath. Roll the right rib cage forward, walk yourself back to center. Pause for a moment, okay? And then tuck your tail with an inhalation, roll yourself up. Bring your right knee to the floor and bring your left leg forward. Okay, going right into the second side, anterior and posterior tilt starts it. Key thing is get stable. If you're wobbly, it's really important that you hold on to something. This isn't a balanced posture. And if your brain is challenged and feeling like it's unstable, it makes it really challenging to get what you need out of this stretch. Hold your posterior tilt. Find your vertical line like a seam running up through that left, your right thigh, up through your hip, up through the rib cage, and then we take the right arm up to the sky. Okay, now at this point I'll refine it. I'm gonna pull my belly button back, back, back. You can see my spine moving back, and right there I feel nice intensification of the stretch. I feel like everything from my knee up to my hand is like a nice taut guitar string, ready to be tuned, or ready to be played, right? It's already tuned. Keep your chin pulling back, navel pulling back. If you're stable, the left arm comes forward and we push. Keep growing tall, even though you're pulling your belly back. Good, now both arms come up, okay? We let the left arm float down, lengthen up through the right side, take a side bend to your left. And stretch your left arm out, come up. Take a side bend to your right, go slow, it might be really different than the other side. And then stretch your right arm out, come up, lengthen, get tall, get stable, take as much time as you need in the center before repeating. Okay? Your job here is to be in control of your body. The slower you move, the easier that gets. So we're gonna try to go all the way to the floor. If the floor seems far away, just grab your yoga brick, place it under that hand. Roll the rib cage forward. Walk your hands further away from your body and just rock back and forth. So in this case, I'd be pushing my hips to the left and shifting back to the right if we were still talking about facing straight ahead. Next time your hips press to the side, we're gonna keep the right arm on the floor. Again, you're welcome to stay here or spin the rib cage open. Good, and stretching out through the fingers, you can roll onto the outer edge of the foot, breathe, and then roll the rib cage forward. Walk yourself back to center, get stable. Root into your right shin, tuck your tail. Inhale, roll yourself back up. Both knees on the floor. Give me 3 more, hinge. Really exaggerate this posterior tilt, roll up, and then this time the arms are gonna open up. Hands to your hips, hinge, posterior tilt, articulate that posterior tilt, and then lengthen your spine, open the front body one more time. Hinge, posterior tilt, roll it up. All right, hinge again, stretch your arms out, bring yourself back to the floor. Coming back to that spot where we left off, here. Back to posterior tilt, anterior, posterior, anterior. Good. Moving into our ELDOA now. I'm gonna start this one from the side so you get this visual. Okay, you wanna find just enough kind of more posterior tilt so your sacrum is perpendicular to the earth. Once I find that, I'm gonna let my legs flop out to the side. Heels are in line with your sit bones. Maybe a fist space between your heels. Make sure that you can still keep the pelvis in that position, holding the belly back just enough to keep this part of my spine connected to this yoga brick. I pull the chin in and I lengthen up, maintaining my base, just like on that tensioned guitar string. Both arms come down into our external rotation, right? Our ELDOA arms. Find your base as you root into your sit bones, as you push into your knees. Forget, toes are pulling back towards you. Spine is lifting up and rooting at the same time, and we're pressing strongly out through the palms. Next, inhale, arms are gonna come up. We're in our full ELDOA for L4, L5. Okay, keep working your base, sit bones down, knees down, toes back, all that stuff. And then pay attention to your spine. It's really easy to start arching, so pull your belly button back, your sacrum back. Remember that slight posterior tilt, so you feel that contact with the brick, and then feel like you're gonna rise up the brick, not move away. Good, and then the head wants to come forward, so retract it back, lengthen to the base of the skull. Oh, let's say about another 20 seconds. And now from this place, keep holding and breathing. Good. Drop your eyes down. If you've been looking at me and watching the screen, drop your eyes down so you're looking forward on your mat about 5 feet in front of you. You're lengthening up, you're breathing. Inhale, 3 more breaths. Elongate your exhale. Slow, deep inhalation, long exhale. 1 more breath. Relax your arms down to T position. Relax your legs. Do a posterior tilt, little tree hugger stretch as I like to call it here. Retract your chin, your breastbone, your navel. Inhale, open up. Exhale, tree hugger. Spread your shoulder blades. 1 more time. Inhale, open. Exhale, rounding your spine. Come onto your shins for a moment. Drop your shoulders away from your ears and let the shoulder blades spread. Take a slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, let your spine roll back. Almost said it's time to move. So from here, let's finish up with 1 more ELDOA for L2, L3. So we'll take your legs out. Let's bring the arms back behind us for a moment so we have a little bit of support. And from this position, the feet, we're not as wide as we could be with the legs. That's important. So if you've got a mat as wide as mine, that's a good kind of distance. Okay? And if you're on a normal size yoga mat, maybe taking your feet just outside your yoga mat. Okay? I want you to feel that you can move your hips from internal rotation to external rotation. The next time you're in this internally rotated position, meaning kneecaps in, hold it. Okay? Hold that for a moment. Can you hold your legs like that and push the crown of your head to the sky? Good, take another breath. And then let it go. So now that you know the legs are doing, then we do everything else we did in the last ELDOA. So turn to the side so you can see. Let your legs extend out, find that position. Okay. But then from there, don't do anything with them yet. Rock your pelvis back and forth. Let's find your pelvis first, then we'll get the spine. Plant the sit bones down. Right, we've got our little helper right here. I'm going to pull my sacrum back, making it flush with the yoga brick, and then the rest of the spine does the same thing. I'm reaching through the crown. Now roll the legs in, kneecaps in. Now we're going to pull the toes back and stretch out through the heels. Get really strong into those legs, right? They're your roots with our ELDOA. The sit bones are also roots, rooting down. But I don't want everything to go down. I've got to remember that I'm lifting up. I'm that guitar string, right? I'm on the guitar. I'm perfectly tuned. So there's tension in it. Now from here, keeping your chin pulled back. Take your arms out. Find your ELDOA arms. Anchor into sit bones. Stretch into heels. Lengthen into spine. Find your breath. Now this time, before we move the arms, bring your head into position. So you find that gaze point. It's about 5 feet forward on the floor in front of you. Drop your eyes there, but not your head. There you go. And now next inhale, take those arms up. Good. Pressing your arms up alongside your ear. I'm going to keep looking at you guys so that way I can make sure you're not forgetting anything here. And now press up with your arms. But remember, we don't want to arch the back. We want to stay that straight guitar string. Lift up. That's it. Let's take about 30 more seconds here. Roll the legs in. Stretch out through your heels more. Pull the toes back. See if you can press the backs of your knees further into the floor. And then balance that with an upward lift of your ribs, of your arms, chin back, crown up. Now 3 more breaths. Bring it all together. Feel like you're trying to lift everything above your belly button up to the sky, and everything below it goes down into the earth with your sit bones. 1 more breath. Now maintain your spine. Let your arms come down behind you. Let your legs relax. Bend your knees, and with your heels nice and wide, pivot the feet back and forth. Pivot the hips, the knees back and forth. That's it. Try to keep lifted through your chest. All right. Now to balance you out, if you've got the time, I highly recommend finishing this video with your legs up the wall in L5-S1 for a minute. But I'm already spending too much time on this video, more than I wanted, but I wanted to include all those stretches and ELDOA for you. So if you've got time, finish with L5-S1. If you don't, follow me. You're going to pop onto your back. Okay, draw the knees into chest, and then bring them wide. Okay, I call this the lazy woman's ELDOA, or man, whatever you are. And then plant your pockets, plant your sacrum. We don't want to arch the back, right? We're still a guitar string, so we're running our spine parallel to the floor. And now I keep tensioning. So as I do this visual, your sit bones go that way, your crown goes that way. Your eyes look towards where your sit bones are going, and your crown pushes in the opposite direction. Good, now with strong arms, pull down with your hands. And then last piece, breathe. In through your nose, and as you exhale, lengthen crown to sit bones. Take 3 more breaths here. Can you get your shoulders to open, maybe even getting your upper arms to pull downward to the floor? Last little piece, I promise, try to do a little anterior tilt without lifting your belt off the floor. That's it, take another breath. And I'm maintaining that length in your spine, pull the knees back together. Release the feet to the floor one at a time, arms open up. And let's bring it together with one little traction twist, legs going side to side, incorporating that strong posterior tilt as legs go over, and then lengthen. Knee goes out, lengthen up through the hip. And when you feel balance with that stretch, you can rest with your knees collapsed inward. Or as I mentioned before, maybe you've got time for L5-S1 ELDOA. Maybe you just need to rest. And as you're resting here, taking a nice smooth breath in through your nose. Exhaling slowly out through pursed lips as if you're breathing out through a straw. Let yourself relax. Deep breath in through your nose. One more time, exhaling out through your imaginary straw, nice and slow. Last little bit, close the lips and try to exhale it out through the nose. Take one more breath like that, drawing the breath gently and deeply in through the nose. And then as if you're blowing the air out through a straw, slowly exhaling out through pursed lips. The last little bit, you close the lips and exhale through the nose. From that place, allow yourself to return to just a relaxed breath. Relaxing through your jaw, your shoulders, your belly, your hips. Before you move into the rest of the day, take a moment to notice any shifts and changes in your lower back, your hips, from that simple yet effective practice. And then from there, you can begin to wiggle fingers and toes, bringing yourself back to life. Or maybe you want to just stay there for a bit longer, whatever the case. I hope you got some beneficial work out of that. Feel free to reach out with any questions, with any comments below.